This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Is there anyone here that did not receive a welcome homeowner packet when they first came into the community? If so, raise your hand and I'll get you one. Thank you. So in this welcome packet that you have and that you received when you came into the resort, there is a thumb drive in there. And on that thumb drive are a lot of the different forms that we use throughout the year. So you might, when you get a chance, go on and look and see what documents are on that form. Or I mean, on that drive. We're off to a little bit of a late start. I was waiting for the pastries and the coffee. So the pastries are here and the coffee's here. So if you'd like to go ahead and get some pastries and coffee, please go ahead. We will probably go ahead and start, but feel free at any time that you want to get up. You're more than welcome to.
Dave.
Good morning, everyone. We are charged. My position is, and then we'll go down the line, and each person will give a little bit of talk about what they do. As the general manager, I am responsible for association contracts, purchases, governing documents, staffing concerns, Happy Trails records, any legal matters, policies and procedures throughout the community, budget committee questions, budget and reserve items, board meeting setup, and minutes. So whenever there's a board meeting, I provide those packets to the board for them to review. They get it prior to the meeting so that they know what. Next, we have our operations manager, which is Michael Knight.
Thank you so much, Darlene. As Darlene had mentioned here, my name is Mike Nice. I've been with Happy Trails, oh gosh, it's been almost going on 5 years. I started here at Happy Trails in our architectural office in Blaze. So I some of our homeowner requests for improvements, and then fortunately I was able to work with into our operations.
I've been on the board just 29 days, shy of 7 years, not that I'm counting. I've had the privilege of being on the board. We have a 7-member board. Every year there are at least 2 or 3 board members that their tenure is up. Currently we hiring, and as homeowners, for every lot that you own, you get 1 vote. And you should have received the board, the information regarding the candidates that are running. And we hope that you really would attend the upcoming Meet the Candidates meeting, because your vote is important. Now, some people will say, why do I only get 1 vote per lot? Because it appears that some of you seem to be couples here. It is the women's vote that counts in our association. No, I'm being facetious. Sometimes, as you know, there are mixed marriages, whether you're a Cougar fan or a Husky fan or a Duck fan or a Beaver fan. So you really only get 1 vote. If you vote 2 votes, none of them count. So just to encourage everyone to take a look at the candidates that are running, please come to meet the candidates meeting. The candidates that are running, that you will get their vote. Our role as the 7-member board members, it is all residents that are on the board, is to keep your investment viable, to maintain your equity in your home. And we do that by assuring that our common areas and our amenities are up to date. It costs a lot of money for that to occur. We are also responsible for making sure that the organization is financially viable. And this board really has done an excellent job of trying to get us back to a point. It's never that we were in a bad spot, but we're finding over the years that things are costing more and more to keep up. And you've probably found that in your own homes. It takes more to do that. The budget committee is a committee that looks at putting together the budget every year, which gets approved at the February board meeting. So our February board meeting is on the 2nd Thursday of the month. And we'd hope that you would attend on that, because you'll be getting information on all the information that goes into the production of the budget, and if there's going to be any increase in your association dues, which would be effective May 1st. I can pretty much guarantee that, given the state of our reserves, that you'd probably be looking at an increase in your dues realistically every year of between 5 and 6%. If we look at what your association dues covers, it really covers a lot, because you're getting your garbage, sewer, and your water with that, which in other HOAs you don't. So it might look like a lot, but it covers an awful lot too. We have the board meets, as I mentioned earlier. We meet the 2nd Thursday of the month. We're available for conversation from residents at any time. You have our email address, you even have our phone numbers. But we also hold a special session on the 3rd Thursday of the month called We're Listening Sessions. And it's a little informal session where we go around and ask you, before you leave this meeting, what's the key question that's on your mind that you want an answer to? And so the board personally really enjoys those meetings. We really like hearing from you, so we encourage you to attend those. One of the things that we have done recently is that this last year we did hire a consultant to go through a long-range planning process with us, with the entire community on where they wanted to see where we want this resort to be, say, in the next 10 years. And so probably in February, we're going to be having probably, in my opinion, 2 to 3 focus groups that will data that more information from the residents about, when you say that you want the amenities and the aesthetics, what does that really look like? When you say you want good communication, what does that really look like? What are you looking for that will help us then inform the various committees who might be, such the BG&M, which Mike has a lot of responsibility of that. If you want the pools area to look in a certain way, what does that mean? What does that look like? So then that gives that committee some marching orders. Some of the things that we learned in that long-range planning was about communication. That was about your desire to have the aesthetics of the organization improved. And the other thing is that they really want people to follow the rules, and they want the board to enforce the rules. Now, sometimes we know some of your fellow residents don't want to follow the rules, but they want you to follow the rules. And as we know, some of us that are in our 70s, we're the hell no, we won't go generation, and you can't tell us what to do. But when you come into an HOA, you do agree to follow the rules that are set out. The board has done a lot of work with resident input on trying to get a set of rules which really make sense for us and are enforceable, and really look at keeping the aesthetics and the homeowner value up to date. Some of the things that the residents really get hot at if all of us aren't following has to do with speeding and stop signs. There's really not much we can do regarding enforcement of that because we don't have a radar gun and there's no one really out looking at it. But it is a big safety issue. So I encourage all of you to remember that that is an expectation, that we're following the stop signs and the speeding. It's hard to keep your cars under 20. I know that. Hard to keep your cars at 15. Easier in a golf cart, but not as safe in a golf cart. So speeding is one. One of the things too is that we are a 55 and older community. And so therefore there's rules regarding the amount of time that children can be here. For some of us, we like having those rules in place. So for some of us, we like being able to tell our nieces and nephews, oh, darn, you can't stay more than 14 days. So sorry, those are the rules. But that is an issue that we have to be cognizant of. And that if we have particular people who are underage, or if we've got a lot of children on site, that it could affect our 55 and older community. Now, we also are covered by fair housing. We are not covered by ADA. So some of you will say, well, you need to follow this because you're covered by ADA. We are not covered by ADA, but we are covered by fair housing. And as a result of that, if there's a rule in place that your health, you would ask for an accommodation. Now, we as a board do need to respect that and discuss how a reasonable accommodation could be afforded as a result of it. And sometimes that is affected by having an underage person or a caretaker in your house. Another thing that would really be helpful for us that in regards to aesthetics is that, now I'm from near Seattle. For those of you who are from Washington, we remember it rains a bit there. Rains harder here than it does there, but it rains a lot. I can grow weeds like you can't believe, but down here I can really grow weeds. And so for those of you who are here just seasonal, you'll notice that you don't really have a whole lot of weeds, but then there's one little rainstorm and these little suckers, they sprout very fast. So as seasonal people, we really ask that you make sure you have a caretaker, someone who's going to look after your lot. Doesn't have to be a hired person, could just be a neighbor, because your weeds will sprout up during the summer. And those need to be taken care of. As a result of that, if you're gone for the season, the key thing that we want you to do is give us your address when you're not here. So those are some of the big things that, as far as enforcement, that everyone really wants, all of our residents want all of the residents to follow. How we structure our organization is that we have a lot of committees. We have a budget committee, a building grounds and maintenance committee, which really looks at the infrastructure of the community. We have a safety committee, which some of these folks will be speaking to later. We have a communications committee, an elections committee. Did I miss one there? Budget I mentioned. We know that all of you have a lot of expertise. Some of you, most of you are probably retired, some of you aren't. But when you were in a working situation, you did a lot of stuff in your life. And even if you weren't in a working situation, we need people who can volunteer for those committees, who can help strengthen all of them, which would help strengthen the communication or how we prioritize functions going on. So as you will get blasts that will talk, we're looking for some volunteers to help out in the building grounds and maintenance committee. If you had any background in buildings, grounds, or maintenance, please volunteer to serve on that committee. The responsibilities aren't that onerous. The time committee commitment isn't that onerous, but we really need all of you to help us make our organization better. So with that, I'll pass it back to Darlene, so you can pass it on to Nick.
Thank you, Barbara. Hello? Next, I want to call on Dawn Oberg. She is the accountant for Happy Trails. She makes sure all our bills are paid and we've got money in our account.
Hi, I'm Dawn. I've been down here at Happy Trails physically about 4.5 years. I've been with Homeco almost 19, so I really enjoy this community. This has always been my favorite one, and I love being here. I deposit and record all the money. I pay all the bills. I do the financial statements, work with the budget committee. I compile all the documents for our annual audit, for our workers' comp audit, so it's very busy. One of the things that we do here is with your, let me back up a second. When you receive your bill, and I know you've gotten information probably from HomeCo already, your new owner packet and all that kind of stuff, on how to pay your bill, there's various ways. You could do it credit card online. You could come to our office, pay via cash, via check. We don't take a credit card in-house right now. Also auto debit. This is where we pull it directly from your bank account, which is the easiest. And if the dues do go up, it automatically takes it. You don't have to worry about it. So that's one of the easiest things to do. I also send out the statements every month. Dues are due on the 1st, late after the 15th. You can sign up for e-statements, and we do encourage that because it's going to start costing the association quite a bit of money for sending out physical statements. So we do encourage most people, if you can, sign up for the electronic statements. If not, then you will get a mailed statement out every month. I try to get those out between the 19th and 20th, depending on my workload, so I might be a little late on that. So we give you plenty of time, though, because the grace period is until the 15th. So that's pretty much what I do. Answer questions all the time from owners, help them with their ledgers, basically accounting things. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Dawn. We're going to go on to our compliance department, which is Amy Maxfield, and Amy will give you an idea of what she does.
Good morning. I'm Amy Maxfield. I am the compliance administrator here at Happy Trails. Even though you may hear people call me many other names like the weed Nazi and things like that, but that's me. So what I do, I go around the resort and I inspect all the properties, all 2001 properties, and I make sure that everybody is following the rules and regulations and the design guidelines, making sure everything it looks good and up to par. Compliance means pretty much that you're adhering to our rules and regulations and governing documents that are put in place by the board. So I enforce them. What I do, if I see a violation out in the resort, I will take a picture of the violation, send a letter to the homeowner, and let them be aware that something needs attention on the property. I am out there 4 days a week in the resort, mailing letters, doing that. On Mondays, I am in the office, and I am also the board liaison, the office liaison for the election committee, and that's about it. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So if you guys do get that first initial courtesy notice, if you just give me a quick phone call or email and let me know that you're aware of the situation, and if you need the timeline to be extended, I'm more than willing to work with you guys.
That will avoid a second letter with a fine on it. Okay, next I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie. A lot of you probably have already met Stephanie. She's our receptionist. She's always there to greet you with a smile. So Stephanie.
Good morning. Thank you, Darlene. Yes, I'm the first smiling face you see when you walk into the library and come to the front office. A couple of things I do here are I love to build relationships with all of your residents. I do also take in all the forms, so age verification, rental, and departure. I'm sorry, said that wrong. Homeowner arrival forms, departure forms, and rental forms. And I process them in the system, send them down to patrol, and we make sure we know everyone who's coming in and out of the resort. Also, I am the notary here, so any type of notaries that you need, I'm here for you. I do also take care of the transponders, and I believe everyone knows what that is, but that's what goes in your car to get you in and out of the gate. Also, I am recently taking care of storage, so whenever you need to see or get storage, you no longer will go to Dawn, but you'll come to me. And then I am also the communication liaison. I also work with Neighbor Network. Anyone that has difficulties getting on there, come to me and I'll be able to help you and get you reset on that. Also, one thing that is very dreaded around here is the age verification form. I know that a lot of you do not get younger, only getting older, but So that, just to speak on that, it is a form every 2 years that is mandatory per Maricopa County. And you will have to fill that out, just reassuring us that yes, you are still here, and that no one else is on your property, anything like that. So it is required every 2 years. So we'll do one in 2025, and yes, it is mandatory. So, and then with that, I will give it over to Thelma.
Oh, hold on. Brad's not here. Brad Gonzalez is in charge of our DRC. But I'm going to have, since he's out in the field, he's actually working right now. So I'm going to have Michael talk on his behalf.
Alrighty, Mike Nyes again. I'm going to put my DRC face on. So as I stated before, I started in our architectural office here at Happy Trails, and the DRC stands for Design Review and Compliance. So DRC, this office is pertaining really for you. We require that all homeowners complete an application if you're doing any modification to the exterior of your property. That exterior modification, of course, has to be in conjunction with our governing documents. Anything on the interior of the property, with exception to any kind of major remodels that are going to affect the exterior of the property, require that permit. Now, no, really reason being is so that we have indication that there's an improvement project going on that property. What you'll see throughout the resort as you drive around, a lot of folks will have a green paper that's zip tied onto their light pole. That's indicating that they have an improvement project currently happening. And that's how we kind of keep tabs on everything that's going on. So when you come into the DRC office, whether it be for repainting the exterior of your home, or it be you want to make a major improvement, you want to extend the size of the property, Bradley will be the face that you will see. Bradley will help you through what our guidelines restrict and allow, be able to explain the ins and outs of the governing documents and the design guidelines, and especially in reference to what we allow within the resort. Different sections within the resort allow different types of structures. Can be a little cumbersome when you're reading through the design guidelines. I've read them for 3 or 4 years, and you can still find something different in them every time you look. So it's really nice to have someone there that you can come into and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this awning or this addition. And Bradley and in the office here, we really try to be a wealth of knowledge of what's required from the city's perspective, what's required from an engineering perspective, and really set you on a path to get that improvement taken care of. It's a very, very, very busy office. We have a lot of improvements going through this office on a regular basis. It does cost $30 for a permit per year, per calendar year. So say today you wanted to go ahead and get a permit, that'll take you all the way through 2024. You can have as many improvement applications as you wish on your property, of course, but that fee is only one time per year. Bradley works directly with Amy in compliance, just overseeing some of the architectural sides of compliance, improvements without applications, things along those lines. So Amy and Bradley work hand in hand with each other in getting that taken care of. Bradley also oversees a lot of different kind of landscaping things and gets involved in some other things on more of the operations end in regards to some of the landscaping throughout the villas as we maintain all of that common area. So lots that goes into that DRC office. I'm sure that you folks will be spending some time in that office as well. It's a wonderful place, and I think that he could be of tremendous help to you. Another good thing that we do carry as new owners on the property is we have existing files and all improvement applications that have ever taken place on each individual property. So if you're looking for documentation on your individual property because you don't know where the sewer lines are or something along those lines, we very well may have that documentation on file. So if you're ever looking for a plot plan or something along those lines, swing by and see us. We'd be happy to make you copies and show you what we have on your lot. And help you, assist you through that project or improvement, and go from there.
Thank you, Michael. With the exception of Barbara Fugelberg, you've just been introduced to our office staff. We have 6 full-time employees. We're all HomeCo employees, and we work under the board of directors here at Happy Trails. Our office hours are Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 3:30. So we stagger Amy and Stephanie stagger that Monday so that we can have someone here on Saturday. Sometimes something may come up, illness or something, and we may not be able to stay open on a Saturday but usually we're open. If there's other than illness, we're usually open. With that being said, I'd like to call on Thelma. She's our activities director here at Happy Trails.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Thelma Ballou, and I am the activities coordinator here at Happy Trails. And we are located across between the mail center and the library. We're right in that area. There's all things going on in this resort that we take care of. We have all the concerts that are put on here, entertainment, happy hours, all the events, everything like that. It's mostly ran through activities. We also are responsible for the day trips. We've got some trips coming up. One's to IKEA tomorrow. We have Las Vegas trips. So we have a lot of things like that going on. We also do copies in activities for residents at a little small charge. But we also have a lot of Happy Trail swag over there. We have all kinds of apparel, little shot glasses, things like that that you can give away for little gifts. Along with that, we also have it's called our Nosy Coyote newsletter. That's done 6 times a year from November through April, and it'll look like this. It comes in paper form, and we also have a digital copy of it also. So that goes online around the first part of the month. This has got all kinds of information in there about the clubs, and so we have that. We also have, and this can be picked up in activities anytime during the month if you have to have a hard copy. We're trying to cut back on a lot of trees being killed, so anyway, we really do have a digital copy that you can see on your computer that's really nice. Also, we also have the entertainment packet here, and this is what we have, all of our trips, everything that we know of that's going on, we try to have it in here. So you can stop by our office. We have volunteers that help us in there, and our offices are open from 9 to 1, Monday through Friday. And if you have questions, we get our badges there too, our little badges. If you haven't been in to get your name badge, you probably want to come on in. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, Thelma. Next, I'd like to call on Lily Woods. She is in charge of our mail center.
Hello. Wow, we got a lot of new owners. My name's Lily Woods. I also live here. I've lived here for almost 7 years. I do run the mail center. Just to give a couple of information to help everything run smoothly and for you to get your mail smoothly as well. We are not a substation of the United States Postal Service. I'm a privately owned business, so they do not do any mail forwarding out of Happy Trails. So when you do have your mail coming here, make sure it is on a temporary and it has a stop date at least 2 weeks before you leave here. If you don't do that, we do have options for you. Just come to us and we'll go over that with you. It's also very important that we know all the names and businesses that you get mail for, because if the name is not on the box, we will not put that mail in the mailbox. So please let us know everything that or if you have a guest also, like Christmas time, people have guests coming and they're getting presents. Let us know. We'll put their name on temporarily while they're here so they can get packages and mail. Also, before coming to the window, make sure you have checked your box for the cards that you'll need to pick up your packages. We have all of these cards that you must have to pick up your packages. If you do not remember the hours that were open, all that information is on the front of your card. Also, if you're gone for a while, we do hold owners' mails up to 6 months. Renters, we hold for 30 days. You'll have this if your mailbox is full. Please bring this and we'll give you your bulk mail for you. Please do not forget your key We will not go to the mailbox to pull out any mail or see if you have any packages. You must use your key. It's to protect you and your mail. And also, we are located right next to activities. We also have a full page of information in the Nosy Coyote. It's very helpful. And then our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3, Saturday 10 to 11, Sunday we're closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Next, I'd like to call on Bill Spursky. He's our Pony Express liaison. Thank you.
That way. Everybody, okay. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm Bill Swiderski. I'm on lot 2250. Been at Happy Trails for over 20 years now. And I run the Pony Express. How many have seen the Pony Express running by their lots? Wonderful. That's the idea. That's the idea. We started in 1999. I was not with it when it started, but that's when it started. And it's still going strong. We have a volunteer group of about 40 people, and we're always looking for more volunteers. It's a fun job. One resident said he'd learned more in one shift with the Pony Express than living here the previous 10 years. So that's one way to find out how these streets are laid out. We cruise the resort twice a day, every weekday, and we look for things like the AEDs. We check the AEDs. Actually, we have a checklist that we use that covers all of the AEDs, the storage areas, the pools, make sure they're locking properly, make sure the streets are cleared for emergency vehicles to get to where they have to get to, things like that. We have a radio contact on the Pony Express with the front office and maintenance and so on. So if we see something, we can report it quickly, or if those people need us to check on something, then we're available to run off and check on that for them. Our standard operating procedure is on one page. That's how simple it is, but it's pretty complete. And we're going to have a meet and greet in the Manzanita room this Thursday at 0900. I have that written on the bottom of this sheet here. And the reason I'm raising these sheets is there's a set of handouts on the table as you're going out. Also, there's a board where you can sign up if you want more information, how you can contact me. I'll be happy to talk to you more about the Pony Express. It's a great operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next, I'd like to call on Dave Kreider. He's going to talk a little bit about our stagecoach.
Okay, thank you. Blair Derry is in Canada. He's up there enjoying the cold weather up there. He's the coordinator, so I'm filling in for him. He wanted me to mention that my wife, Kay, and I came up with this idea to have an orientation, a tour of Happy Trails. And before then, they wouldn't let anybody in. And the first year we did the tours, they said, people on the tour said, we thought you were doing something in there you didn't want us to know about because we wouldn't let them in. The only way they could get in was with a realtor, and some people just want to come in and see around. So it started in 2017. My wife and I had the idea, and we started it. Tours are given year-round. There's a few given in the summertime. We average over 150 tours a year, and we've had a lot of purchases because people came on the tour and we show them around. The HOA bought a 6-passenger golf cart about in 2017. That started it. They recently bought us a brand new golf cart. It's very nice if you haven't seen it. By the way, anybody, residents and anybody can schedule a tour. If you're here and you haven't been around the entire resort, or you think you don't know something, or about it, or you want to hear some of the history, we've all had history pamphlets given to us. We did research. So if you want to take a tour, even though you're a resident, you're more than welcome. The HOA recently bought us a brand new cart. It's really nice. It's kind of dressed up like a Western stagecoach. They have classes for new drivers, and the route, they give you a thing to tell you the route they go on. Tours take about an hour to an hour and a half. We go through the different neighborhoods, through the villas and through the single wides and the double wides and the super wides, and explain that to them and try to answer any questions. We tell them facts about Happy Trails, some of the history, and we have an elected HOA and board. Roy and Dale used to come here. Roy and I think we're all old enough to remember Roy and Dale, and they stayed in the villas. They had a special place over there. The story on them was, we tell stories like this, some of us do on the tours. She dressed up in her cowgirl outfit. She wanted everybody to know who she was. But Roy wore a baseball cap and sunglasses. He was more shy. He didn't want people to know about her, to know who he was. We do not show properties. If you want to see a property, if anybody on the tour wants to see a property, they have to get a hold of a real estate person, or if it's a private owner, they have to get the private owner to meet him and bring him in to show properties. We do allow them to take pictures of for sale signs, and they can call the owner or the real estate person. There have been many sales generated because of the stagecoach tours. And Blair Derry is the coordinator. I was the original coordinator, but Blair is the original coordinator. And you can look his number up, or the Guard Shack has his number, or you can get it at the office. So, and you're welcome, even though you're a resident, if you want to know everything, that see the whole place and hear some of the history of it, you're welcome to go on a tour also. Thank you.
If you have not taken the stagecoach tour, I highly recommend it. It's very informational, and you get a lot of historic information.
All righty. And I have to add, there is a PA system on that stagecoach now. It makes you feel like you're on a adventure. You know, it's really, really, really neat. So I wanted to introduce a couple folks here. A couple of them weren't able to be with us today as they're out there running around just trying to make sure this property is looking beautiful. But I wanted to introduce some of our department heads. Here in our room, we have Captain David Nelson. Captain Nelson, he runs the show down at the front gate. He makes sure that everyone is coming and entering and exiting the resort as needed, and getting any of your guests, your vendors, your friends into this resort. Their phone is always ringing, and they're always here to communicate with you folks. They work really hard to make sure that your property is safe and secure. So thank you for everything you do, Captain. We also have our maintenance supervisor. His name is Al Davies. Al has been with us for, I want to say a few years now, and he's worked his way up into the, overseeing the department head. He's now the supervisor of that department. I'm doing really great things in that maintenance department, and we're really, really proud of what they're doing. Maintenance does a lot of odd jobs. They have a never-ending skill set. We've got our maintenance department has put down floors, remodeled lighting. They've done more than we could even possibly imagine. Dave up there in our sound booth, he's actually a jack of all trades as well. He runs our sound and our audio for all our shows. He also, you'll find him deep down in a hole on most of the lots here, does all our plumbing. A lot of our initial plumbing to the resort is all galvanized, so we're slowly but surely bringing that over to copper lines. But they work really, really hard. Our landscaping department, our supervisor is Hector Navarro. Hector has been with us for quite a few years. We actually got, I like to refer to, from the other side of the wall, over from the Grand. A couple of the employees that used to work for their landscape department have made their way over to Happy Trails, and we're very, very thankful to have them. They also work very hard in this community. We have currently 6 landscape employees. They work 5 days a week, and they're covering all of our common area properties as well as all of the villas they have to maintain. They designate a couple of those our employees to the villas on a daily basis, and they're dealing with all of the private irrigation, common area irrigation, any kind of storm damage. You know, we lost a couple trees. Over the summer we lost 16 or 17 saguaros due to this wonderful summer heat that we had this last summer. So they're out there every day working real hard, early in the morning, late in the afternoon, through the heat, through the morning. So we appreciate them a lot. And last but not least, our housekeeping. Joanna Hernandez Ramirez is our supervisor for housekeeping. Housekeeping also runs around this resort and makes sure that every facility is cleaned before, after, during all of our events here. And their timeline is so compact due to all of the events that we have going on. You'll see us juggling Vendors Day and bingo and different things along those lines throughout our facility, setting up, breaking down, cleaning up. A lot of moving parts within the association. So our staff, we're really proud of all of our staff. They work so hard to make sure that you folks are happy and taken care of, and are living a good life here in this resort. We wanted to mention a couple other things as well that we didn't bring up before we open the door to hopefully some really good questions. But we wanted to bring up, of course, one of our really key features is the chuck wagon here. Directly behind us here, this is our restaurant on property. We're really thankful to have Chef Peter in this restaurant here. He's doing some really great things for Happy Trails, and I can tell you, I'm ecstatic to have the food there every day. I don't know about the scale so much, but it's nice to have that restaurant there when we need it, and he's able to assist you guys with special events and catering and things like that. Their barbecue is fantastic. You'll smell the smoker in the early mornings sometimes when you step out on your property, and know that the wind's blowing just right. It'll make you real hungry to get down here and have a bite at the chuck wagon. And also, we have some changes with our collection facility, our trash facility. This is something that I wanted to bring up to you folks as well, as new owners, current owners. We had a couple changes. We do have a facility down at the end of Happy Trails Boulevard, all the way down towards the car wash. That facility has some larger dumpsters that are there to accommodate some larger items that you guys accumulate on your property. Recently, that facility has been established where we have working hours, open hours. We had a little bit of struggles with contamination and misuse and things when it was an open facility. So now we've really restricted that facility to 3 days a week. It's open Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There are restrictive items. We're not taking any kind of excessive bulk furniture. We used to have some issues with couches and things like that would be shoved into some smaller dumpsters that we had to then take back out so the trash company could get them. And additional fees that were charged to the association for excessive, debris. But we do have, I want to say there's six yard containers, white containers that are there for your household debris. Any kind of general, smaller debris that you have, your cardboard, your plastic. We do have recycling services down in that location. We will take your clean cardboard that's recyclable as long as it is broken down completely. We do have on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays when the facility is open, we do have an administrator. His name is Steve. Steve is at that location to help check you in, ensure that you are a property owner, and help you break down any boxes or direct you in any assistance that you may need. We are developing some volunteers in that location, and they're having a lot of fun with it so far, helping the residents get their items into the debris containers and whatnot. We also have 2 large 30-yard roll-off containers that are designated primarily for landscape debris. Now, they can take any kind of general waste, of course, but we're really trying to stay away from any kind of major construction debris and things like that. So those are really allocated for anytime you need to trim your fruit trees. We got a lot of citrus throughout the resort, a lot of vegetation that needs, general maintenance, and it's a really nice service to have in the community. I'm sure a lot of other communities that you've seen don't give you a trash service, especially a free trash service. But you have those locations that you guys can utilize. We also have a recycling container for metal. So we are making just a very small profit off of that recycling container. So if you have any aluminum, steel, things like that you'd like to bring down into that location, you can put that in that large roll-off container. We don't take any refrigerators, no Freon, no electronics, things like that. We also have developed with our communications committee and our ad hoc sanitation committee a large pamphlet that will give you a lot of other locations of where you can take your other debris, your couches, things like that. You're going to try to get rid of an old mattress, or you have a big TV. A lot of these other Goodwills and other services aren't taking that stuff anymore. Since COVID, things changed quite a bit. So we did come together and provide that list for you folks, and it's located on our website, as well as over in our mail center and at the sanitation facility as well. So we hope to see you guys there. One other thing before we open the door up to some questions, I wanted to segue a little bit into our website. A lot of our communication is done via our website, and I think a lot of our folks are up with that time, of course, but if you're having any trouble, Stephanie had briefly mentioned that please stop by and see us. Let us know what's going on. We can absolutely help you out. If you're having trouble with your notifications within the website here, getting logged on, you'll go on to htresort.com. That will take you into our website that we refer to commonly as Neighbor Network. Neighbor Network was bought out then by Enumerate Engage, so you'll see that name when you pop onto htresort.com. You can create yourself as a new owner, current owner, an account there so that you can view all of the postings that go out through the community, our events calendars, things like that throughout. We keep all of our governing documents, our meeting minutes. We take recordings of the board meetings. We have a YouTube page. So all of our board meetings and town meetings are recorded, so you can go back and watch those if you've missed one. Important things like that on that page. So I'm hopeful that everyone here that has access to that already. If you have not, please come see us afterwards. We'd be happy to walk you through that and go from there.
So the first Thursday of every month, we have what's called a town hall meeting, and that's put on by the management office. It's an informative meeting. We sometimes have guest speakers. This month we had the council members here. We had someone from APS and someone from the water district. I'm hoping within the next, not this coming month, but the following month, I'm hoping to have the chief of police and the chief of the fire department come and speak. So they're very informative. If you can't be here in person, they are, like Mike said, they are recorded. But again, it's nice to, if you're here, if you have questions or anything for them. We try to make it something different every month. Sometimes we may not have a guest speaker, and it would just be us talking about things that are going on in the community. But again, it's the first Thursday of every month at 10:30. Thank you. This time, we'd like to open it up to any questions.
Waiting list? Okay, that's a great, yeah. Yeah, so the waiting list for the storage, so that was the question, is did we hear that there's a waiting list for storage, RV storage? We have two facilities here at Happy Trails, our North Storage and South Storage. And I don't know about how many roughly spots we have. Do you know off the top of your head, Don? Storage spots? 256, somewhere in that realm. But we do keep a waiting list, typically speaking. We're that popular. So folks go on that waiting list. In order to get on that waiting list, there is an application fee of $30. And then depending on the size of space you need, some of the larger spaces, they take a little bit longer. A lot of folks like to hang on to those spaces if you have a 40-foot bus. If you have a smaller utility trailer because you're out on your side-by-side, there could be a possibility that space could open up a little bit quicker. We do offer two different lease terms. You can do a 6-month lease or a 1-year lease. The 6-month lease is a little bit steeper than the 1-year lease. And at a 6-month lease, if you only choose to go into a 6-month lease, you go back onto the waiting list afterwards. So, you know, we get some residents that have been here for years and years, and you drive through that facility and you might see that there's some open spots. The trouble is a lot of times when someone gets a spot, they like to hang on to such spot as long as they can if they're going to be in need of it. One of the popularities these days has been residents sharing spots, subleasing, which has worked okay. You know, as long as we have documentation of who's on that property, who's in that space, both parties have to be on the lease itself. We don't get involved in the financial aspect of, you know, how you guys are going to afford it together. You know, if one party would like to pay, so be it. As long as we have both parties on the lease. So we do see more and more sharing these days, but absolutely get on a waiting list here and we'll be able to give you a general idea of how long we might be looking. You know, looking at what your needs may be. But there is typically a waiting list for storage. I think we might have a couple spots that were open more recently, but it's always an evolution of those spots. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Sure. Okay, absolutely. So the question was in regards to pricing for storage. Are we competitive in the association? You know, within the last year, the board of directors made a motion to increase the storage fees. We're still, I would believe we're still well below our pricing on the exterior of the resort. We're trying to make sure, I don't want to speak for the board, of course, but I think that the intent was to ensure that residents had that privilege to come into this location and have those services provided to them at a rate that was reasonable. The board tries to keep it within that realm where we're not, you know, making millions of bucks here, but at the same time, you know, providing you a service that's needed. So I would say we're below par for outside services, but we have increased over the last year. Some more questions? Yes, ma'am. Wonderful question. Wonderful question. Caretakers. There was a mention of caretakers when you're not on your property, and she was asking if there's a list of them. Absolutely. We do have a list of some of our residents that opt to be caretakers. It's not as large of a list as it used to be. Each individual caretaker has different needs and different requests. You know, some folks that are lot caretakers will do, you know, weed spraying and bush trimming and things like that throughout the summer months. And some caretakers will go inside and make sure the toilets are flushed and whatnot so the flappers don't get dry in there and those situations. So each individual needs are a little bit different. I know that some caretakers will opt for, you know, dinner once you arrive back in the resort afterwards so that you guys can, you know, hang out together, or some minimal fees for those services. But we do have those in the main office as well as on the HT website under documents. So you can find those services and to tie that into there for caretakers, we also have a vendor list. Our vendor list can be found also in the main office, in our architectural office, and on our HT website. And this vendor list is really a compiled document that would give you a lot of good information on who to call, handymen, vendors for plumbing, sewer services. I mean, you name it, it's on that list. Services for, you know, APS, City of Surprise, Fire Department, things like that you'll find on that vendor list. We work real hard in the architectural office, the DRC office, to make sure that that list is updated as much as we possibly can. We're not referring any of these vendors, of course. We can't refer any of these vendors, and we would like to make sure that when you are looking at vendors to do any kind of work on your property, be very mindful of using a licensed and bonded contractor. Now, of course, you can use a private contractor, a handyman, and whatnot on your property, but just be very careful, as this world is not as safe and secure as it used to be. So we do try to keep a good eye on that list and make sure that, folks are in good standing within the association. Vendors within the association are required to complete a contractor application and agreement. That doesn't really allow us to, gives us a little bit of teeth behind the contractor enforcement. And really the teeth behind it would be if they're not following the regulations within the association, it gives us the authority to suspend them from the resort. We can't fine them because they're not a property owner, but we can stop them from making money in here, which is typically gets them moving a little bit quicker. We also have services from Arizona Register of Contractors. They're there to help you in any kind of issues, concerns with any improvement projects that you have on your property. But again, that was a wonderful question. Thank you. I think we had another question back here. Yes. Absolutely. So there was a question in regards to this living in the villas, and we were talking about olive trees and the olive trees making a mess on the concrete. I was talking with Hector about this, our landscape supervisor, and we were talking about this. I want to say it was in town meeting or a we're listening session recently, and we were talking about actually treating the trees so that they do not fruit. So I guess that's not option. I think that would be the best way to go. But in the time being, just the services of cleaning up those areas and making sure, even around the dog park and in the town center, we have some of these olive trees. And when those olives do come off, they splatter around and they get driven across or walked on, and it makes some staining on those area sidewalks. So we will be looking into what we can do moving forward to make sure that those trees maybe don't fruit. We won't have this issue, but looking into cleaning those areas as well. I appreciate you bringing that to us. I will definitely move forward with that. But in the future, if you ever see anything like that throughout the resort, please don't hesitate to come into the office or go online to htresort.com and complete a work order for us. Say, hey, we noticed this when we were out on the resort. We wanted to bring it to your attention. It's very helpful for us. You know, we have all these eyes throughout the resort, and there's things, of course, that aren't seen on a regular basis. So when you see something, say something. We can make sure that we proceed to get it taken care of. Oh, that was wonderful. Darlene just reminded me, palm trees. We have a ton of palm trees throughout Happy Trails. In common area property, we have 271, I believe we have palm trees, and that is just our Mexican fan palms. These real tall palm trees along the boulevards, Roy Rogers, down Dale Evans, Trigger area, that is owned by the association. The association typically in the past years has brought in a vendor to do palm tree pruning. We used to do it twice a year. We did a summer pruning and a winter pruning, or spring pruning. And this last year, we've gone to just a summer pruning. It is a requirement for these palm trees to be pruned. Those palm trees will flower, they'll seed, the seed pods will come out on them. Typically, depending on the weather, typically late May, early June, and that's when those seed pods will start to take off. And after that summer and we start getting into the real dense heat, that tree will go dormant. So when that tree goes dormant, then we don't get that seed pods generating out of it again. Now each palm tree is a little bit different. You'll see the palm trees coming into the entrance area. Those are date palms. So you'll see the dates that are hanging off of those. They need to be trimmed a little bit differently than these Mexican fan palms. But the Mexican fan palms can be quite the mess. And those fruit stalks come out on them. Those seed pods drop all over the ground. The birds love them, and it's just a big mess. So that's something we do every year. We bring in this vendor. Monster Tree Service was the company that did the pruning for us this last summer. We had a little bit of issues with our real hot summer. We'd like to see the trees a little tighter than they are now. We've had a lot of growth out of them again when they were trimmed earlier in the summer, and then that late summer went so far that we had a lot more growth than we anticipated. So Monster Tree will be back in. They've already been at our Vendors Day this month, and they're taking out any folks that get signed up for the palm tree pruning. they'll do it at a discounted price. Of course, it doesn't, you're not required to use Monster Tree Service. You can use any vendor that you would like to trim your palm tree, but we like to bring in somebody that could do it all at one time and provide you a service when you're not even here. A lot of folks are leave for the summer months, and we can coordinate it now, take care of it, and then come, late May, early June, they can coordinate to have that tree taken care of for you guys. So that's something that you'll see coming forth in the blasts in regards to how to sign up, what information you need. You can see them at Vendors Day, or you'll have that information coming forth here soon. So, yes, ma'am. So Barb wanted just to reiterate that, yeah, Happy Trails has a lot of common area palm trees, but throughout the private properties, we have over 500 of them, 500 Mexican fan palms that are existing throughout the resort. And the challenge with the palm tree pruning is early on in the conception of Happy Trails, the developer planted palm trees on every individual lot on the front facing, and the irrigation to that palm tree was established by the developer at that time. So there was this misconception for a long, long time that Happy Trails was then responsible to maintain such palm tree. So, with those 500 palm trees, those are private property trees. If they fall individually on your property inside the concrete ribbon, it is a homeowner responsibility to maintain those trees on an annual basis. A lot of the challenges that a lot of our folks here aren't native to Arizona and don't see palm trees all that often, to be quite honest. And when we leave the resort, the palm trees typically look really good. We don't have these seed pods generating out. A lot of folks leave in the April time frame and said, well, my tree looked great when I left, and it did. And then 2 months later, that tree decided it was going to seed, and these big black pods came out of it, and it was an absolute mess. And the neighbors were calling every day saying, Mike, you got to do something. So that's where we're at with the palm trees. It is a homeowner responsibility. If you're not sure if your palm tree is your palm tree or not, please let us know. We'll, between myself or Bradley in the DRC office, we'll come out and try to indicate exactly where it's located. You'll see some of these properties are hard to determine exactly what's yours and what's not yours. Where's the property line start? Where does it end? Is it my tree or is it a shared tree? Over the years, we have some of those things where the neighbors decided, well, we're friends. We can plant this here right on the center and it won't be a big deal. Well, yeah, as properties sell and things change, there's a lot of misunderstanding of who owns the tree and who's to maintain the tree. So if you have those concerns, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'll come by and check it out and see what's going on and see if it's your tree, it's not your tree. And that goes for everything. If it be a palm tree or a bush or, pavers or whatever the case may be, let us know. Any other questions? Wonderful. More questions? Yes. That's another great question. So the question was our vendor list. If there was a bad experience with a vendor, can we take steps to remove the vendor from our vendor list? It's a slippery slope for Happy Trails because we want to ensure that we're being fair, of course, to all our vendors, but also taking care of our residents and ensuring that they're not taking advantage of you folks. And we have had those struggles over the years where we've had vendors come in where we felt, this isn't right, something's not happening well here. And that's when we really stepped into the contractor regulations because we wanted to say we need a parameter of where we're going to gauge these contractors. We can't just say, well, they said they were going to show up and they didn't show up. That's bad service. I would agree with you 110%. However, we can't take them off of a list for poor service. But in that case, we do have a vendor reference book that's actually available for our residents. So you can come in and see, okay, I'm going to flip through to, landscape services, and you can read about some of these other companies that some folks use here in Happy Trails and say, oh, this guy, he's trouble. You don't want to go down that road. But if contractors that are on our vendor list or general vendors that are on our vendor list are not following the association's regulations in regards to our timelines, completion of the project, cleanliness of the project, we are holding them to the fire. we are ensuring that they're signing this guideline. They're saying that we're going to meet this criteria for you, and failure will pull them off of that vendor list. So if we get to the point where we suspend somebody from our resort, then we suspend them from our vendor list as well, so that we're not having these reoccurring issues where that vendor might be running around collecting from you folks, saying, making promises, well, we're going to do this for you and do that for you. Just pay me the deposit and we'll take care of that. And then they're so far out on actually starting that job or completing that job, or they're not in good standings with the association because they have 6 unfinished projects that have lasted a year. So yeah, absolutely. And Bradley is a tremendous reference there. We try to be pretty straight in what's going on with our contractors and generally throughout the resort, what's happening with architectural and vendors throughout. It's a struggle, definitely, but that's a great question. Thank you. Yes. Headway with the golf course. Okay, so that's a very general question a lot of folks ask in regards to where we're at with the golf course and our relations to the golf course. Jason McKinney is the owner of Great Eagle. From my understanding, it's a family business. I mean, he's been around, but the property was handed down from, I believe, a grandfather. And we do have general relations with the golf course. Jason used to be on our board of directors, actually written into our CCNRs as a voting member of the board of directors. Within the last couple of years, our CCNRs were revised by you folks, and that was voted and opted to remove Jason McKinney from the board of directors as a voting member. So he no longer stands on the board. However, we do maintain a committee, a liaison committee with the golf course. It includes myself, one of the board members, and a resident here. A lot of folks will know Lauren Hansen. He's very involved with the golf course. I would say that yes and no. I mean, there's always motion on one department, but there's always a little bit of regression somewhere else. So Jason has been working on the building primarily. I believe that he has had a little bit of contact from the city of Surprise in regards to the structural components to his building at the front entrance. You'll see that it's needing some love. You know, the rafters are starting to get a little rough there. So I think a lot of his efforts right in the moment are going towards that location. He has been working with us on some of the areas that we have issues with, some of our drainage concerns. But most of our stuff is pertaining to him giving us permission to do something rather than him jumping forward and doing something along those lines. So if you have concerns, or if you're backing up to a golf course property and there's issues, you know, I deal with on a daily basis. Sprinklers that are need adjusted. They're spraying somebody's house on the backside from the golf course because trees that really haven't been addressed in ages, dead vegetation, overgrown vegetation that's backing up to your property. Let me know of these things. I can't promise that they'll be resolved immediately, but I can promise that we will continue to keep pressure on them until we get some resolution of some shape or form. It's a little challenging because the golf course property is legally his private property. He has the rights to maintain it as he wishes, and then you get into stepping with the code enforcement and fire safety and things like that. So we try to be good neighbors as much as we can, but there's always a very business-like relationship that has to be maintained there. So if you have concerns, please bring them to our attention. We'll do what we can to communicate with the golf course. Of course, we can't make any promises on his behalf, but we can continue to keep that on his docket so that maybe eventually he can take care of some of these smaller items that really need addressed. A lot of concerns of the golf course maintenance, the path, and whatnot needs to be addressed. So he's got his hands full on taking care of that golf course, and we hope to continue to be a part of that and assist him in any way we can, not so financially. But good question.
When the governing documents came into play in 2005, when we went from it being developer owned, when the last lot sold in 2005, and we became an HOA board of our own, it was written into those documents that the there would be a golf course representative on the board. But it was just that that person was voting on actions related to Happy Trails. There wasn't any requirement that we as a board had any influence on any land regarding that owned by the golf course folks. So what we found was that his presence on the board certainly wasn't destructive, but it didn't get at the issues of us having any influence onto his property. So when we changed it within the last 4 years, that it would be all 7 residents and he was no longer on the board, it is written into the documents that we had to have these regular meetings to discuss these issues of mutual concern. So I think it's stronger. It's still a matter of trying to get some action on his part.
Thank you, Barb. Yes. Yes, street signs. So that's been something that's been brought up, and we have a couple actually that aren't even spelled correctly. So we're addressing the street signs. I have a vendor currently that's inside the resort that's able to do laser etching on aluminum. So he's working on a template right now for me, and I have a master list that was provided to us by Pony Express of all of our street signage that needs addressed. So you'll be seeing that soon. Full completion of getting those under par and making sure that those are legible and whatnot in the community. Yes. Okay. Oh, wonderful question. So the first, yeah, we'll bring vendor day over to Thelma, but for the recycling services, there is a document on our website, but it doesn't really spell out the types of recycling services. I appreciate that because on Parks and Sons website there are. Maybe I can link that to our website, but I know on parksandsons.com you can go on there and it'll speak to directly what type of recyclables they will accept. I did get a request from one of our sanitation ad hoc committees via email that was talking about this, saying maybe we need to spell out a little bit more in reference to our recycling services here and what we're accepting in that location. When we started this ad hoc committee to really try to resolve an issue that we had in that recycling and trash services, we really took off running. And we're learning a lot within that run. So I appreciate that. I think that we could really spell that out a little bit. But parksandsons.com does have some references there.
Our vendors days are held 6 times a year from November through April, the first Friday of each month. And that allows, right now, all of our tables are sold out, but we have approximately between 180 and 200 vendors that comes to our resort, and we have all the PAC, all in the courtyard, they're everywhere. And so from 9 o'clock until 1 o'clock, the first Friday of the month, you're able to come in and shop and get, look around, buy some popcorn, eat at the Chuck Wagon, and just make a day of it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. A lot of oddball vendors. There's vendors in reference to insurance. Like I said, our palm tree pruners here. There's vendors selling bread, phenomenal bread. There's vendors selling chips and salsa. That was one of my favorites, that chips and salsa lady. She makes some really good chips and salsa. But lots of other knickknacks. A lot of our clubs will come in and sell their jewelry, things that they've made throughout the year in the association, and everybody really enjoys it. Paintings. I believe there was a gentleman that sharpens your knives. Lots of different services throughout Vendors Day. And the gates actually open up, so we bring in, folks from outside the resort. So it's really some construction vendors, not a whole lot of construction vendors. That's more home show-ish. I think we leave it more so on not so much services, more so goods that you're purchasing and whatnot. There are some services.
We do have I think there's there's like concrete.
Oh yeah, concrete coatings.
Coating and things like that come. But for our residents here at Happy Trails, we do have twice a year in the fall and in the spring, we have what's called Arts and Crafts Fair. That's for people here in the resort that make handmade crafts and they want to sell them. and we announce it to the neighbors across the street, to everywhere, so that they can come in and, but those vendors are only from Happy Trails.
For questions, we'll go ahead and take on another question. Yes, ma'am. Okay. What location are you in? Okay, so if you're going down Roy Rogers, you're going to take a right, go down in that section right there. The good news is, so the question was the asphalt, how to, having a hard time keeping the interior of the house clean due to the asphalt. We've made some major strides in regards to reconstruction of our asphalt over the last 5 years or so. And this summer, we're down to the final phase, which will be your section. So this summer would be full reconstruction of package 4, and then the seal coating of section 9, which was done the year and a half before that. So they'll seal coat that section with a Seal Master material, and then we're down to just maintaining our existing streets. Well, this last summer we did reconstruction to package 8, Cascades parking lot, and then we did a seal coat and a crack seal to package 5 and the ranch. So those areas were taken care of, and then we'll continue with that maintenance program after the reconstruction. And hopefully we don't have to touch these roads for another 25, 30 years. So we've definitely taken a long time to put a lot of money into the roads and the infrastructure there. We're happy to see that it's going to be taken care of. But I think you'll really enjoy it after that's taken care of. Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 Wonderful. There was a reflector there, the glue. Okay. Wonderful. I appreciate that. Some more questions? Yeah, so make my way back towards the back here. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So the question here is speaking to the use of the in-ground receptacles versus our trash receptacles at the end of Happy Trails Boulevard, or I'm going to refer to it as our collection facility. This is important, and a lot of our learning and understanding of this sanitation facility, collection facility, is that a lot of our residents, some don't want to use the in-ground services. In-ground services are picked up by Parks and Sons twice a week. They pick up Tuesday and Friday. So any household debris can go into that in-ground receptacle at your lot. They come by, they're gonna pick it up. You'll see them running around with their carts. These guys are insane. They run this whole resort every Tuesday and Friday, and they are darn good at it. But yeah, if you have any debris that's just your general debris, that would be the place for it to go. A lot of folks, I think we've built this mentality or this habit more so of taking a lot of our debris down to the facility at the end of the boulevard. And inadvertently, what that's done is not only added more cost, because of course we're using two different facilities that are costing money no matter if we're using them or not. Our in-ground costs are set rates. So of course, they change between summer and winter because we have a lot less residents in the summer months than we do the winter months. We're thankful that they give us a break on that. But right now we're spending roughly $100,000 a year on in-ground trash can. So that services is costing the association money one way or another. So using that services is really important because then we're cutting back on the usage of our collection facility, which is being billed to us by weight and trip fee. So no matter what, they're picking up your in-ground trash. So if we can use it, please do. We can also non-perishables like you have some tree trimmings and whatnot, or even some cardboard or something like that that didn't fit inside the can. You can bundle it up, leave it next to the trash can the night before, or early that morning. They are real early on a lot of occasions. They'll be running around at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:36. So if you're an early bird, you can get it up in the morning, but maybe the night before. If it's not perishable, we do have coyotes and some birds that'll rip it up if we do have any food and trash bags around the trash can. But that's something that we're kind of evolving into. It seems like we started using our in-ground trash cans less and using the facility more, which has brought us to the place today. So we're trying to get back to using our in-ground can as much as we can and having the services at the facility for any overflow of that. But great question. Yes, yes. Javelinas. Have we seen javelina? Yeah, so I haven't seen any javelina. The coyotes are always year round. We do see the coyotes. I have been seeing some bobcats recently. I saw them on Facebook, and I'll tell you what, I walked around the corner of the chuck wagon, I don't know, it was about a month ago, and our housekeepers will still make fun of me for it because I saw it. She said, Mike, what is it? Walked around the corner, and there's a bobcat about 6 feet from me. I'm not even kidding you. I ran so fast around the corner of that building. You're not going to catch me around a bobcat. So, but yeah, we do have them out there, and a lot of little dogs walking around. So be safe when you're out and about walking your pets. Always I saw a gal with a light up leash the other day, which was really neat. So we're actually walking their pets with a light up leash, which seemed to be a good effect for, scaring something away or just seeing that you're around. A lot of times if they know you're watching you and you can turn around and make some noise or clap or yell, they'll run off. But you'll see them every now and again that'll be creeping up on you if you're not paying attention to them. Yes. Yes. Yeah, small pets being left outside. It's you got to be very, very careful with the wild animals. They're out to get them. So, and you wouldn't believe these coyotes. A lot of folks have coyotes where you're from, of course, but they can jump so high. A little fence won't keep them out one way or another. So, that's where you have some more questions here. We'll get all the questions, I promise. Okay. Wonderful. Yes. So 2 questions here. The first question is regards to activities, and activities in reference to dealing with, our shows or dealing with clubs. And the answer to that for Thelma is both. She coordinates in activities all of our shows through the year and oversees all of that and through the season, as well as working directly and overseeing the clubs and the day-to-day operation of such clubs. The second question the gentleman had was in regards to our lot signs. And the lot signs individually, the requirement of the lot sign is to have the lot number. A lot of folks will see that they'll add your name and where you're from. It's a nice little piece of history here in Happy Trails a lot of folks like. The lot signs currently are being made by Fast Signs. Fast Signs is a company that we use and really built a relationship to make these signs and a lot of our signage for us. So Fast Signs will be doing those for you for $55. You can get an application in the main office. We also have that on the HT website. Or you can just go down Bell Road, right on the left-hand side, past Reams. They're located in that little strip mall right there. Go in there and say hello to Donna Green. She's the administrator there. She's a wonderful lady. She'll get you a lot sign made up, and they'll take real good care of you. More questions?
Okay, no more questions? Okay, I want to thank you all for coming. Before you head out, there's still some pastries left if you want to grab one. Again, this was an awesome turnout, but as you can see, it takes a lot of people to keep this organization going. Again, all of our staffs are full-time, with the exception of some of the patrol officers which work part-time. Patrol is here 24/7. The rest of the staff is here during the day. But again, the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to keep Happy Trails happy. Excuse me, before you all take off, Brad, can you come up so they can put a name to a face? Brad was out on the field earlier, so he did not get to speak, but Brad is in our DRC compliance officer. So Brad, if you could just come up so they can see who you are. Thank you.
We did have to relocate the application for Pony Express. Since the pastries are right here, the Pony Express application to sign up is going to be on this side wall. Bill's holding his hand up right now. He'll direct you over to that location.
Back into the office.